Hey, welcome to Bobby Blockchains. In this video, we're going to discuss Merkle trees and hashes. You kind of have to understand these to understand the rest of the videos about Segwit and transaction malleability. And so here we're kind of getting a little bit into the low-level stuff, but nowhere near the raw transaction data. So I will start sharing my screen, show you a couple cool things. So this is what a Merkle tree looks like. And let's start with hash. So a hash function for me is it's like a one-way function. I can send in whatever input, and it will give me what looks like a random bunch of letters and numbers. But it's not actually random. It is always going to be the same given the same input, and that's really important. And you can't actually go backwards. You know, if I have this D7 hash, all those letters, there's no way that I could go and reconstruct the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." But if I change just one little character, like you'll notice here in the bottom example, I added a period. The outcome, the output of that hash is just totally different. And so what could you use this for is data verification. If I were to, for example, send you a movie file, it might be huge and not the most ideal way to verify that you got it correctly, like nothing was messed up in transit. I mean, I could send you the same file 10 times and you could say, all right, well, 3 of them were messed up, but I think the rest of them are the same, so those must be legit. It's much easier to send over a hash. I take all of the data from the movie, put it into this hash function, and you end up with a small string, like a bunch of letters and numbers. And if yours matches mine, then we know that we got the exact same contents. Like all that data is the same. You have the right file. But what about like in a situation like torrent, where I might take that movie file and split it into 1,000 pieces. And you might be getting pieces, some from me, some from other people throughout that network. And you want to make sure that each of the individual pieces is legit and wasn't hacked up or just broken in transit. That's where Merkle trees come in really handy. So here, pretend we split the movie into 4 different blocks. You take each block and you hash it. So all of the data that was the first quarter of the movie gets spit out into this little string of letters and numbers. That's C in this. And then these are the bottom leaves of your Merkle tree. And then up one level, you've got the nodes. And the nodes are just, you take the 2 children and stick them together and hash that. So if the contents of the C hash was just the letter C and D was just D, then A would be the hash of the letters C and D. And then you keep going up and up and up until you find just one common root. Cool thing about this is that if any of these bottom ones change, like I could check somebody's block 1. If they hash that and I hash that, we should both get the same exact thing. But I could detect if any of the blocks were messed up by just checking the root hash. Because if hash 1 is messed up, well then its parent is going to be different. And then its parent is going to be different. And so it's quick, it's efficient, and I don't have to send over the whole file over and over and over. I can just send over this Merkle tree and know that all of the data was sent successfully. And that is very much part of Bitcoin and even the transaction ID. You're using the hash of all of the inputs, and the transaction data is hashed to get the transaction ID. And then when you look at a full block, do I have something here at the block? I do. Here, it's really ugly. But, so when you look at the block header, it has a Merkle tree of all the transactions. So transaction 1, transaction 2, transaction 3, transaction 4. If any of those change, well, then the Merkle root will be different. And you can do the same thing with the witness data. It's got its own Merkle tree. But this is a way that you could verify that all of the transactions that you have, and these things are actually chained together, hence being a blockchain. So you can check the hashes against previous data and future data too, using the Merkle tree to know that none of these things have been messed with. And it's very easy to figure out if one of them has been messed with and then which one of these has been messed with. All right, well, that's all I got for you for today. This is my explanation of hash functions and Merkle trees. And thanks again.